Welcome back. Good Friday morning, everybody. Thanks so much for joining us this morning. I'm Maria Bartiromo, and it is Friday, June 12th. It is 8:01 on the East Coast. We kick off the hour with the hot topic of the hour. President Trump has canceled planned strikes on Iran, saying that there's been progress in discussions with Tehran's leadership. The president saying in part on Truth Social, quote, discussions and final points have been, in both concept and great detail, approved by all parties involved, including the United States, Israel, Saudi Arabia, UAE, Qatar, Turkey, Pakistan, Bahrain, Kuwait, Jordan, Egypt, and others. The Navy blockade will remain in full force and effect until the transaction is finalized. Time and place of the signing to be announced shortly. The president also revealing a peace deal could be just days away. Watch.
We just made a great settlement of the war with Iran, and we're going to be subject to finalization of documents, which should get done over the next few days. We'll probably have a signing maybe in Europe, and it's a great thing. Stock market's up 1,000 points. That means they like the deal. Oil's dropped. Oil will start coming down to, I think, even lower than it was before.
Joining me now is Fox News senior strategic analyst and chairman of the Institute for the Study of War, General Jack Keane, back with us. General, good to see you. Thanks for being here. And the president says VP J.D. Vance will be in Europe this weekend, potentially to sign a deal. But, of course, we've been here before. Your reaction?
Right. Well, we have been here many times before, but the reason we're here now is because the president was willing to use military operations to leverage the Iranians to get serious about a deal. And it appears that has put us on the pathway to signing this framework agreement. Now, remember, the framework agreement would likely open up the Straits of Hormuz with Iran not having any control. We would eventually also, over time, release our naval blockade. But then the framework and the agreement, much of the challenges of the nuclear enterprise, removing it, not permitting enrichment, the ballistic missile development, the drone inventory, and support for proxies, that would all begin a 60-day clock to negotiate. So there's a lot of work ahead here. And I think the leverage of getting back using military force has accomplished this. And I wouldn't be surprised, Maria, if we didn't have to do it again. Because look at right now, within 24 hours, we're seeing what we've heard before. The people that talk to the president from Iran tell him one thing, and then we have other officials in the government right now saying, well, we haven't agreed to X, Y, and Z. We're not going to do that. So there's always this inconsistency coming from Iran in terms of what they say. And then when it comes down to what they do, well, let's face it, what they do is completely different than what they say. They said ceasefire 2 months ago, and they have violated that time and time again, firing into the Straits of Hormuz, firing at U.S. bases, firing at our allies and partners in the region, and certainly unleashing Hezbollah inside of Lebanon to over 2,000 rockets and drone attacks into northern Israel, forcing the evacuation of those towns and villages. This is who Iran really is. And it's going to take the leverage of military force to hold their feet to the fire. We're in the early stages of a process here. And the president and his team, listen, they're clear-eyed. They know who they're dealing with here. They know they're dealing with liars, and they know they're dealing with cheaters, and they know that they're dealing with people, Maria. At the end of the day, what does Iran really want here? They want to go back to where they were. That's a fact. And they'll say anything to get there. And they'll sign anything to get there. So what they really need from us is they want us to give them money, get them flush with money so they can recover, and then they'll go about reversing everything that they agree to do.
Right.
And so the deal itself has to go into it with that in mind, so it endures past the president, the current president of the United States. They know this. They know what the Iranians are up to because this is the first administration that has ever confronted them in any consequential way. So the deal has to have provisions in it that prevent a reversal. And the administration is very well aware of that. And Iran will fight and oppose any of those kind of terms that will hold their feet to the fire and not give them the ability to go right back where they were when the war started. That's who these guys are, and that's what they want out of this.
Yeah, and, you know, Iran's state media and their propaganda is out there just throwing out different items to see what sticks. Like, for example, one headline earlier was about the uranium and a speculation that the president would allow the uranium to stay in Iran. How important is it for the U.S. to get what they want in terms of that uranium? And also, General, you know, as SpaceX is ready to debut on the NASDAQ today, everyone's talking about this big IPO. Iran is reportedly planning to treat all of Elon Musk's companies as, quote-unquote, military targets. Iran state media claims Elon Musk's holdings were used by the U.S. military to, quote, carry out war crimes. And I'll just point out that this is all happening from Iran planning to treat Elon Musk's companies as military. The U.S. is clamping down on more Chinese companies, designating companies like Alibaba, BYD, Baidu as, quote, companies that support China's military. The Pentagon's list is now at 188 military companies, up from 134 last year, and China's embassy in Washington is calling this blacklisting discriminatory, General. I thought that was an interesting angle as well.
Yeah, well, so our audience understands, if you're a company operating in China, and even a private sector company, in other words, it's not a state-sponsored company, and it has a technology that appears to be used for commercial purposes. That any technology whatsoever, whether it's one of their private sector companies or a state-owned enterprise, and it appears to be just for commercial purposes, that technology will always, if it applies and they welcome it, be used for military purposes. That's just a given. This administration clearly understands that. They're not going to buy into the confusion that China and its propaganda tool puts out there. That's why that list is as long as it is, 188
exactly.
and growing. Yep. And now we've added these commercial companies to it. Why? Because they take that technology and they use it to strengthen their military. There's just no doubt about that. That is who they are. And we've got to watch them like a hawk, and we've got to monitor this activity. Otherwise, China gets leverage that they shouldn't have, and that's the reality of it. Listen, in the long run, Maria, I have total confidence in our system. You know, he believes his state version of capitalism, authoritarian-based, and because he can bend them to his will, is the strongest system in the United States. He has never understood us. The fact that we have an open democracy, capitalistic-driven system here, free of any government controls except some basic regulations, encourages and inspires innovation and creativity. This is how we beat the Chinese. We're going to beat them we can outthink them, we can out-innovate them and out-create them. And we've proven that time and time again, and we have to also put the right military capability in the region to deter military activity. So what we're doing here is the right thing, and unleash what we have in this country. SpaceX is a perfect example of a commercial enterprise that is exploding with capability and rivals NASA in terms of what it can do. Quite remarkable.
Yeah, no, I just thought it was interesting that Iran is trying to target Elon Musk's company a couple of days after the U.S. added to the blacklist. General, it's great to see you this morning, as always. Thank you, sir.
Yeah, great talking, Maria. Thanks.